Bum, ba-dum, ba, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. Excuse me. Dun, 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 dun. What is up, everybody and nobody? Today, I wanted to, I posted this a day late. People wanted me to talk about the universe and everything in the last time we did. So, I'm gonna do it this stream right here. Talk about the universe and everything to do with it. So, the first thing, guys, is that if you believe in science and all of that, let me first make sure, since there's literally no one here, that my volumes and everything is okay. Okay. How loud is the music, though? You can hear the Elgato. Not be able to hear the Elgato. So, in science, it's believed that the Big Bang started everything in this universe. How did the Big Bang become anything? Nobody knows. We could theorize lots of things. Some people theorize that the Big Bang occurred because of the collapsing of the universe on itself, but that doesn't make sense because current science would suggest that the universe is accelerating. But no matter how it started, we know that it began because we are here. We are knowledgeable. We know it's something because we think we are. So we can't not be there. So as all of our knowledge shows that there was a beginning, and it seemed like that beginning was when everything was very close together. This initial pinpoint was creation of everything. Now, there's a lot of different theories of what that could have started as. I have a personal favorite idea on how that would work. Is like a black hole might put stuff like this is just random thought. There's like no possible. I have no scientific basis. Just like a random thought I had once that like, what if black holes were starts of other? I mean, this would have to go in multiverse theory, where there's that. Hey, what's up? I was beginning to think I wasn't gonna get any chatters this stream, or any viewers actually. How are you doing, cool Minecraft guy and Switch gamer? Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for joining tonight. So the Big Bang starts, and it throws everything out into a huge explosion of matter. And during this, there should have been equal amounts of matter and antimatter that exploded at the same time. But what we see is that there's lots of matter left, but there's not as much antimatter left. And that's one of the currently unknown, unexplained things, is what happened to all the antimatter. Things created would have been in the same amounts. Would have been in the same amounts equally. So when antimatter and matter collide, they annihilate each other. So it's weird to think about how antimatter and matter can even how matter can exist and there is no more antimatter because they are created in the same amounts. That has more to do with possibilities of black holes, though, but we'll get to that later, maybe. So the universe explodes from a very small point, and everything gets thrown into just a big pile of dust. And all these piles of dust, not piles, but groups of dust, start spinning in circles and gathering into clumps and larger clumps. Each clump gathers into more larger clumps, and as these clumps of material get larger and larger, each thing can which when it started, it was just mainly well, see, now this is something now that I've never thought about until just now. Okay, so if the creation of higher complex molecules, like gold or something like that, which isn't not necessarily that complex, are created via the violent explosions in a sun, and the majority of what was in the Big Bang was just hydrogen and helium, why wasn't more things in the Big Bang? Because the Big Bang would be the most violent of explosions. What's up, Bala and Loyal Theorist? How are you guys? Something I've never even thought about, guys. Like, why? Why would they not? Why would they not be filled? Because as far as we know, everything started with just hydrogen and helium, and then the hydrogen and helium built up these bigger and bigger molecules by getting into suns, as these gas clouds coalesced into suns, and once they got big enough, the pressure on the pressure of the size of the gas cloud is, or not gas cloud, but hydrogen helium, and it would crush, and I would crush the center, pressurize it so much that it would heat it up and start a chain reaction in the sun and cause the whole sun to ignite once they built up enough. And then once what a sun does, or what a star does, is it is converting, it is fusing to, at least in the case of our sun, it's putting hydrogen atoms together to make helium, and these helium atoms are bouncing, or these helium atoms are being pulled out to the being pulled down to the center of the core, and the hydrogen atoms are staying out up on top, and they keep on, and as more helium atoms are made and fall down to the center, then more hydrogen gets pulled in. Eventually, it'll lose so much hydrogen that the sun will explode and and it won't be able to hold on to any of its hydrogen anymore. Explode and throw all of its hydrogen out, and it become a red dwarf. Hey, what's up, Boax? How are you doing, buddy? Good to see you as well. And then I think it's a red dwarf after that. I'm not the astronomist, I think is what it is. I could be wrong. But the sun will turn into another form of sun, and then that just keeps happening, making more and more complex molecules that are combustible, and just keep on. Those heavier molecules will drop down to the center, and then while the lighter molecules stay out on top, and then until it comes down to I think it's a neutron star, which is, see you later, Loyal Theorist. It's a neutron star is when the star is filled with just neutrons. There's no protons or electrons, if my understanding is right. But nonetheless, that's how all that's how all heavier molecules are made, are via the star material. So every planet, every moon, everything is made from star material at some point, because it all comes from the basis of hydrogen. So when those coalesced, when we get into planetary systems, where the sun provides heat and hydrogen, and then now see, the problem here is when we start thinking about water and where that comes from, because there's so much of it, and we feel like it's in science, it is like believed to be almost necessary to start life or to harbor life, just because that is our understanding of how life began, even though it's not necessarily the only way it could happen. So when all these materials started coalescing into larger and larger clumps, the planets were made, and then so suns grew and died and grew and died and grew and died hundreds of thousands of times, over and over and over. Kept on doing that, and to make the more complex things that we see, like the planet Earth, which is mainly made of rock, which is just heavier elements off of the hydrogen tree. So once the sun started putting out like iron molecules, I don't even know if that's possible. I'm not entirely sure on that part, but when the stars start putting out other materials that are not combustible, those eventually coalesce into larger things like planets, and then you get things like the Earth, which itself has a core that runs due to the pressure of the surface of it. Okay, I'm gonna take this time to say more highs, guys. And how are you guys doing tonight? Welcome. Are you guys even remotely interested in this? Because it doesn't seem like too many people are at the moment. Is this good? You guys enjoying this? I could always do like a podcast thing if I want to do more of these off of just offline, guys. I was actually doing I was doing the Omega Argo. It requires all of the brain work. It's pretty awesome. You're enjoying it, Switch? Well, it's looking like it's going to be a much less turnout than it's. Yeah, thank you guys for being here. Maybe I'll try one of these later with the other thing. And let's take a breather, and then we'll continue. We'll talk about how planets are made, like the geologic processes of planets, because that's the next thing. We've covered how things coalesce into planetary systems, and that kind of covers most nebula, solar system, galaxies, gas clouds that coalesce into items, and then into objects, and then the celestial objects that are made are by the sun. Stars make material that is used, and more stars make more materials, and those materials coalesce into other objects, therefore making planets. So to get into the planetary side of this, then we are then thinking about how the Earth was made. It was just rocks being pushed together by rocks, further rocks combining until you get a bigger and bigger mass. Now, eventually this mass either becomes big enough on its own to coalesce all the heavier elements from the surface, and will kind of just draw themselves to the center, because anything that's heavier will float. Any atom that is heavier will, if you put an iron atom on top of, you know, lithium atoms, solid lithium atoms, eventually that freaking iron atom will fall through. You don't have to do anything. It just, because it's more dense, it will actually go through. Hey, what's up? It's Scott. How are you doing? Welcome. Good to see you, man. So taking that into mind, you can nickel and iron make up the core of our planet, and that core, the molten core, the solid nickel core with the molten iron going around it, creates our magnetosphere, which prevents a lot of harmful radiation from hitting the surface of the planet, which would strip away the atmosphere via ionizing radiation. Because what the sun emits is the entire spectrum of light. So when we think of light, generally outside of science, when we think of light, we think of it as in the light we can, the visual spectrum, you know, the colors on the screens, this kind of stuff. But really, when you're thinking about light, it goes the entire spectrum. So along with visible light, the waves in your microwave is light. The waves that cook your food in a microwave is light. You can't see that, but it's there. And UV rays are, again, light that are part of your eyes. Gamma rays, all of this is entire light spectrum. We're only limited in our visual sight to just a tiny portion of it. And it's a very small portion of the entire spectrum by a long way. And you guys can see this through spectrography. I'm going to say spectrometry, but spectrometry is via audio, is the analyzation of audio via graphs, where spectrography is going to be the analyzation of light via through a filter. What's up, Neo Beowulf? How are you doing? Currently, I'm discussing about light. I guess I should have actually said light back when we were talking about stars, because how do stars make light? How do stars make fire? How do stars make heat? That's important information. How a star makes heat is the pressure on the outside starts a fusion reaction of hydrogen and other combustible materials in the center. Those combine and create, and when they fuse, they create a massive amount of energy, which creates a lot of light. That light bounces around, and those photons that they create bounce around inside the star, and they slowly make their way out, and eventually that comes out. And because they're fusing, they're also generating a lot of heat. That heat expands within quite a long range, which if a planet is within that range, they can be what is called the Goldilocks zone. And in the Goldilocks zone is where our planet sits. This Goldilocks zone actually can vary depending on the type of star that the planet is host, or the planet is in. So a red dwarf, for example, will have a much closer Goldilocks zone than a yellow dwarf. I believe ours is the yellow something. And so our Goldilocks zone is further away than, say, Alpha Centauri. And if you guys want to know how we can, just for fun, how we can tell if there are planets around another solar system, is we can't physically see them. We don't have telescopes that are that powerful. So when we talk about finding planets in another solar system, it's dips in light. It's dips in light. And that dip in light determines whether there's a planet there, whether it's constant or not. And how far that dip goes compared to the size of the sun, what kind of sun it is, determines the size of it. How long it takes for in between each dip tells you how long it takes for that planet to get all the way around its host star. And using all of this information combined, you can tell a lot about it. Its size, its size, its orbit, sometimes its composition. Because if it's big, yet it's very, very close, it's very likely to be a rocky planet. Because obviously a Jupiter-style planet is not going to be really close to its host star, otherwise it would also explode. Because Jupiter is made of mainly hydrogen. So because it's so combustible by itself, it wouldn't be able to be anywhere there. But you can have one close, and those are considered hot Jupiters, where they're not combusted, but they're very, 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 very hot. Where they haven't set fire, but they might at some point. And then they too might become suns. I'm not sure about the nature of hot Jupiters becoming stars. They're usually absorbed by their host star before they actually combust themselves. And I guess I don't know too much about how Jupiter's, like the Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, all of these planets are all kind of like, they're made by gas and just a huge complex. I mean, a huge amount of it. Size scales are something we don't see much about. How, like, it's very hard to judge distance in our heads. It's something I personally have a very hard time doing, and I've always tried to visualize the size difference of things, and it is very, very, very difficult to grasp. Like, the size and scale of these things is the sun. Our Earth is tiny compared to Jupiter. Like, if this microphone was Jupiter, our Earth would probably be about this big. So it's like tiny compared, like tiny compared. And then if this was Jupiter, our sun would be, this big. I as a bad example, but nonetheless, my point is that we can't even comprehend the size of some of these. We can't even comprehend the distance to our own moon, which is actually way further than you just might. It seems, our distance to our moon is very, very, very far away. And the distances between each planet are phenomenally far away, unbelievably far away. It's very hard to imagine. There are simulators online that you can go to, several of them, where you can actually observe the actual distance per pixel, and you can like scroll in a scroll bar side to side. That thing goes on forever. It's really, really hard to judge these. And like, even so, these distances are insane, but so are the sizes of things. Like, our sun is one of the smallest, and they can get hundreds of there can be stars that are hundreds of thousands of times the size of our sun. It's huge, and they are not even black holes, which can be even bigger. What's up, Jax O and it's Ska? I mean Brandy Silvers. Why was I saying it's Ska? You've been here. And when something is big enough to become a black hole and collapse in on itself, that's generally what we see at the center of each galaxy, is a super massive black hole. Now, we don't actually see the hole itself, rather we see the star material being sucked into the black hole. So all what we see are stars flipping around this black hole. You know, they're going really fast, really fast, like millions and millions of miles per hour, spinning around this black hole, and we just see it as a bright light because it's so chaotic. And as well as, since a black hole is so massive and has such density that not even electromagnetic radiation or light can escape, so we can't see it, because what we use to observe reality is light. We use our eyes, the perception of our eyes to actually observe reality. So because that is how we see it, and it absorbs that, we literally cannot possibly see it with our own eyes. A great way to realize this effect in action is that there's this material that literally absorbs all visible light, and I can't remember what it's called, but it is so black. It is so black that you can't even see, if you put it on a crinkled pieces of tinfoil, can't see any. It looks just black. It is void, and it's almost unsettling to see this because it literally absorbs all light. How are you doing, Roadkill? Welcome. And it's just crazy to see, because it shows you what it's like when there's the absolute absence of light. And so what we see, guys, so how we see things is every atom that is everywhere, things that we see, everything is made of atoms. We got, my microphone's made of atoms, I'm made of atoms, you're made of atoms, my fake screen in the background is made of atoms. Even though it's digital, the atoms are still there. Everything is made of atoms. So how we see things is light. Energy is transferred from electromagnetism into the object, into the microphone, into these hairs. They then release their energy at a certain rate and move back into their resting state. And when they release that energy, so what's going on is that they're absorbing. So what we see are the only colors that are not being absorbed by the material. So in this case, this material here absorbs all colors but this grayish color. So all other colors it's absorbing. It's hitting these different levels of what are we using to watch you live is made. Yeah, exactly. Everything is made of atoms, and that's what makes chemistry the best thing ever, is that literally everything is chemistry. There is nothing you can think about that is not chemistry, because it is literally everything. It's weird to think about that literally everything is chemistry. Everything you watch, everything you think, how you think, everything you do is crazy. So when you're seeing a black object, this is absorbing almost all visible light. This is what it is. So when you guys are thinking about colors, hey, what's up, Ozzy? I just blew my own mind. How'd you do that, Ska? What's up there, Irving? So when you see something that is black, that's actually absorbing all visible light spectrum. So it's actually the absence of color when you are seeing something that is black. Now, if that brings up a funny thing. Colors, we make a lot of colors, right? We make so many colors. We make colors of all different kinds. Like, look at this glass vase piece. There are several different colors in this, right? Several different colors. But colors, well, if you want a different color, you can't just mix the same ingredients together and then choose a different color somehow. If you want a different color, you literally have to choose a different object that absorbs different ratios of light. So if you want red, you're gonna need to get something in a fish. If you want to get a red, maybe you have to pull something out of a fish or a plant that gives you that red color. And then you want blue. Well, that plant that you pulled the red from doesn't have any blue pigment. You can't make blue pigment out of it because it just doesn't have that in that plant. You have to find something else that gives the color you're looking for as a natural byproduct. So all of our colors are all made from different things. Red, blues, greens, every color you see each color is a different component, is a different material. It's not just food dye that they somehow got it. But there's also a way to make colors change via microscopically using lensing, and that's where you physically change the length you physically change the wavelength where we will see an altered color. This is most seen through gravity when we're looking at different systems, star systems. The light we get is stretched way out, so it falls down into the infrared spectrum, and that infrared spectrum is that allows since we know that, we can account for that and see the light as it normally would. Now, I've gotten all off topic, and I was trying to get down to how Earth was made and how the planet formed, because and then I got off on because I needed to talk about light and creation of material. So now that we've discussed light and the creation of material that planets can even be made out of, then we talk about how planets are made. So how planets are formed are pretty obvious, self-explanatory. Just clumps of material just keep clumping together further and further and further until they are massive enough to thank you. I'll take a breather for you there. How long has that not been working, guys? How long has the redeemable not been working, the GIF? Thank you guys for the 11 likes, by the way. Oh no. Let's see. So, once enough material is coalesced into a massive amount that can large masses that goes through gravitational pull them together, creating a pool. Eventually everything becomes a giant molten ball of lava. Impact eventually solidifies. Yes, Mr. Blankface. I'm liking where you're going with that. So where we are right now for planets, exactly, Mr. Blankface. That's almost right. So the problem, the one thing about that is that not all masses, just because they're large enough, will just get a molten core. The only masses that are large enough to do that are planetary, like stars themselves, because Mars used to have a molten core. It doesn't anymore. There's places that have a heated center. There's places that don't. We know that the ones that have a heated center generally start to generate a magnetic field. So that generally, as you said, requires a massive impact, a huge and massive impact, just on the grandest of scales. So in the case of Earth, what is believed is that a object about the size of our current moon smashed into Earth, and then that not only started generating the magnetic field and turning the core of the Earth, it also created our moon, which is hey, what's up, Tash? Which not only helps to keep our core moving, but also creates things like the tides on the ocean. And then the tides on the ocean, because of the flexing of the moon, making the Earth just flex every little bit, that makes the tides of the ocean move. Those tides of the ocean that move, because they move, they mix up material. And when they mix up material, that allows for the mixing of organic materials. Didn't want to miss the stream. Hearts, Mr. Blank. Just got back from a friend's place. Nice. Did you have fun? Hey, what's up, Dig Butt? So the tidal forces presented on the planet from, and we don't need the moon for the tidal force. Well, okay, we need the moon. Our Earth needs the moon for its tidal forces, but moons have tidal forces too. Europa and all the moons of Jupiter all have their tidal forces. They have ice volcanoes over there, and so that even one of their moons has a magnetosphere. So there are other signs of it, and as well as there's way more water in everywhere that we didn't originally believe. There's water on Mars. There's signs of it having rivers on Mars. There's water on Europa. There's water on Io. There's water on all of these. I'm doing fantastic. Drank some coffee, some time with the doggo. Then he just dropped you home now. Nice. I met another viewer of yours on another server. Who was that? Maybe I'll know who they are. So, all these tidal forces are nice and possible for the generation of life. We don't know for sure, but complex life could have come from a different place and landed here. That's panspermia. That's the idea that life started elsewhere and was dropped off here. Or there's the idea that it was just developed here. All the appropriate materials and amino acids coalesced, and then one day, at some point, one bacteria swallowed another. But before we get that, let's go back really quick to geologic processes. Avery? Yeah, Avery is a member over here. Yep, indeed. Wait, Avery as an aesthetic or like a person literally named Avery? Earth needs the moon, but the moon is actually leaving the Earth extremely slowly. Yeah, like 8 centimeters per year, 3 centimeters per year. It's very, very slowly, and it is indeed leaving. Which is, I've always wondered if that's going to actually cause a problem. That might cause like a huge problem at some point. They might need to figure out a way to just keep it. Like, they wouldn't need to do much, but could you imagine if they made it go the wrong way and then pushed it in towards Earth? That would just be the worst. Okay, that's unlikely. I don't know how they would even push it. I don't even know. That's far future stuff. Like many aesthetic. Yep, that's Avery. But more so than that, guys, the molten core of Earth not only gives us the magnetosphere, but it also gives us our forming of land masses. So how planets form, guys? Earth-Moon collision round 2. One sec. There, DB. So how the Earth is formed and how the Earth works is that is the theory of tectonic plates. So there's a bunch of plates that kind of sit on a you know, it's not liquid, it's molten, and it kind of, and all these plates sit on top of this of all this magma. And just so you guys know, the difference between magma and lava is whether it's underground or above ground. So if it's in the earth, it's magma. If it's on top of the earth, it's lava. So the pressure. So what happens is all of these plates sit on top of this magma, and then there's different ways that these plates move around. They can move, and they can push one plate underneath the other, and it'll die, and then that plate will dive under, and you'll get really high peaking mountains. It's like you'll see these mountains like the Himalayas, because it's getting pushed straight up by another plate. Then there's convergent, where they both go down. Oh, is that right? I want to say that they can both go down, and I don't think they both go up at all. And then there's side to side. There's side to side, which these ones cause the most earthquakes, are the ones that are side to side. Both go up, and then there's no. I don't think at any point do they both go up. No, if that ever happens, it goes like this: one gets shoved down, and the other one gets shoved up. And then there's, of course, they can pull away from each other. Like there's a fault in the middle of the ocean where they pull away from each other, and it fills in as it's pulling away from the magma. And that's how mountains are formed. No, well, one goes up. Mountains are formed if one goes up. So the plates come in towards each other, and then one gets pushed up, the other one gets pushed down, and then it keeps on going up. And so like this one is would be like the Himalayas. One goes down and the other one forms up trenches. Well, there's three types. There's three types of faults. There's side by side. There's the pulling them away, and then there's the conjunction. I want to say that there's ones that go down, but I don't think so. I'm trying to think, and I don't think so. And they don't go up either, because if they think of it this way, if they both went up, they'd be leaving this big gap underneath them, which the weight of it would keep that from happening anyways. Tectonic plates, platonic plates. Yeah, there are definitely. I'm pretty sure there are the three. There's the pulling away, there's the side by side, and then there's going underneath. So and then all of these combined make up our tectonic plates that just float all over top of the earth. And then there's a whole bunch of them. There's a whole bunch of different ways that land can be formed. Now there can be holes in the center, and that would be where a volcanoes are one of the main creators of mass, land mass on the surface, and that's where magma gets pushed up from the center and just deposited on top. And that's usually where you'll find the best diamond deposits, in deposits where that came deep from the earth. I mean natural diamonds, of course. How are you doing there? Wait, I already said hi to you, but Boax, I'm gonna say hi again. Take a breather. So, what other geologic processes should I talk about? Precipitation. Precipitation, that's a good one. Just listening to the talks. Precipitation is important. So how our water system works is the out in over top of big areas of water, it evaporates into the sky. The sky, through the various winds that we get via the difference of temperatures in the north and south poles via the equator. Oh, crap, maybe I should talk about the winds first before I talk about precipitation. Okay. winds really quick. When hot and cold mix, they're gonna try to go around each other. So the cold will come south, and the heat will try to go back up north. And as they mix, they'll force themselves. The heat will get cold, the cold will get warm, and it'll just keep on doing this. These wind processes can vary, and via climate change, those winds are getting weaker. That's a different story, but nonetheless, there are winds there, and those winds drive much of what the Earth has for putting out new what's a good way to say that? Like driving the environment to progress, like allowing movement of air to keep it cool, to keep a stable temperature. Isn't that what creates tornadoes? Yes, Brandy, indeed. But that's more like a reduction in pressure rather than cold and wind interacting with each other. Indeed. And what's up, Miss Roxy? How are you doing, babe? So how tornadoes are formed are indeed a mixing of cold and hot air that creates a reduced pressure area that allows for the pulling of material into them. And it is indeed because of that interaction that even happens. But how precipitation works is, now that you know how winds kind of work, is I'm wondering why you're not sleeping, babe. That's what I'm wondering. You're just gonna listen and pretty much lurk. Let me take another. Oh, you did change your picture, babe. You look beautiful. Okay, let me take a drink of this. You're not sleepy. Are you playing games? Okay. So precipitation, evaporation of the water over large bodies. It goes up into the air and form clouds. How clouds form are there are particles in the air that are very, very fine dust particles, and the precipitation, or coalesce. You know how if you have a cold cup of water and then there are drips of water on the side of your cup when it's like hot out and you have a really cold drink. Well, think of it like that, but on minuscule microscopic particles in the air. That's what we get for when that's how clouds are formed. I might be getting on it later, babe. When would you be getting on it? You're so intrigued by the convo, but now you got to go study. Okie dokie, Tash. You ship it? You should. You should. He's my bae. Make sure to show. Thanks, Roadkill. Like now, maybe for an hour? Oh yeah, you can get on it, sweetheart. Yeah, right now. Have fun. Us, you dork. Mwah. Okay, so where was I? Precipitation. The precipitation water evaporates over large bodies of water, goes up into the air, coalesces on fine particulates in the atmosphere, dust particles, whatever. There's so many different things that it could be. It could be they could latch on to what is it called? The hairspray stuff? What's that called again? Talking aloud to yourself about psychology. We're about to be getting that. No, yeah, that's exactly where we're going, Tash. That's exactly where we're going. It's everything until now. So when we hit human civilization is where the topics go. Because there's just so many things. What we're doing with this podcast is we're getting up to the point of human civilization. And then we'll talk about psychology and sociology and how people interact with people and how things deal with things. But we have to get to that point. We have to understand how people even came to exist. And that's what we're getting at here, is how did we even come here? We've so far gone through the Big Bang, the galaxies and stars and the planetary motions and celestial bodies, how they all interact with each other and how they create planets. Then we've been talking about how planets are formed and how each one has its own kind of system, how they develop magnetospheres and go and start developing their own life. What's important is to continue. You love all the Big Bang and astrology. I think it's astronomy. Astrology is okay. Wait, I was just watching something on this. Which one is which? Is it astrology that is? Astrology is like horoscopes, or is that astronomy? I'm so confused. I just watched this, and I think I'm confusing myself more than I was. Man. Oh, anywho, whatever that one is. Make okie dokie, sweetheart. Have fun. No, I actually don't know. I can't remember. It might be astronomy. It might be astrology. One of them. I just watched Simon Dan talking about all the problems with astrology or astronomy, whichever the horoscope one is. Talking about how it's wrong, and then just going on that. Anywho, astronomy. See, okay, I was right. So astrology is the study. Means the study of space. Astrology is thank you, Brandy. Okay, so astronomy is the study. So that's what I was talking about. Indeed. So astrology is horoscopes. So Brandy with all the facts. GG, Brandy. Nice. Okay. So we'll get into that. We'll get into the psychology of astrology in a podcast for sure, because that's psychology, that's social aspect. Why do people follow these? What makes them want to follow those? We're totally going to be getting into that kind of topics because I love talking about so many different things. Literally, we're already going to be covering several topics in several whole fields of study. We already covered a whole 2 or 3 fields of study in this stream alone. So we're just like moving into that. First time you heard that? Heard what? Hitting you with the facts. Not true? Well, not from you. For what? Okay, so let's get back to geography, which is the study of planets and like Earth-like planets, specifically rocky planets with a molten core. These rocky planets with a molten core can have moving plates that allow the formation of different land masses. Now, I'm not sure if tectonic plates are necessary for the generation of life. They might have been, just for the sake of really getting diversifying the gene pool of the first species of anything of bacterium that came to exist. So what we do know is very important, though, is likely the tides caused by our moon, or the tides caused by planetary interactions, to create a mixture of amino acids and all the necessary building blocks that we know of life. And then this created one species. And then that one species of bacteria, single-celled organism. Took geography in high school. I took it in all of the college. Please cover biology. We're just about to get there, Mr. Blank. We're just about to get up to biology. How biology fits in it. Because that's what comes next, is biology and the stem of everything living. So, let me make sure that there's nothing else inside. What is there anything left in the study of geology that is going to be study of geology and geography are very different things. Geology is the study of rocks. That's an interesting subject. First, guys, let's talk about geology for a second. Isn't that what causes earthquakes? Tectonic plates cause earthquakes. Yes. Well, among other things. Volcanoes can cause earthquakes too because of the rapid depressurization of the magma chambers of the volcanic activity. Are actually fed bacteria. And the fact, yes, sometimes indeed. Yeah, indeed. Roxy is most definitely a gal. Okay, so I can personally verify that Roxy is definitely who she says she is. Bum, bum, bum. So, anywho, guys, I'm gonna take a breather here. Is there any other geological processes? Oh, geology. There are different kinds of rocks. I find geology freaking awesome. Okay, so there's a hardness scale, right? There's a different levels of hardness. Diamonds being 10, right? Now, the hardness scale, I think, really demonstrates the idea that denser objects will sink through less dense objects. So, sorry about that. If you left a piece of diamond on a piece of glass and just left it there for 100,000 years, that diamond would sink through the glass. That diamond, because it's denser than the glass, will sink through it. Sweetheart, just leave it be, please. Indeed. It wouldn't matter. Here people can be whoever they want to be. Irving. People can be whatever they want to be. Here. Everybody can. Irving, you've got to understand this. Okay, so you're a sexy book or box. Oh yeah, you are. How are you doing, Hal Maiden? Welcome. Okay, so where was I? So geological processes are necessary for the creation of land masses, but we're not sure in science whether the creation of land masses is necessary in life. So how life begins, I am doing pretty darn good for helping. So how life began. So, how life began how we think life began is that that single-celled organisms just started developing, or at least one single-celled organism eventually developed. That one single-cell organism created another, reproduced itself, and again and again and again, and it evolved. Two separate kinds, and then those two separate kinds evolved into two other kinds, and then those two other kinds, evolved into two other kinds, and then eventually two of these different kinds of either bacterium, these or very single cell organisms, eventually one of them swallowed the other one. Taking some pills now. Nice to see people are understanding. Yes, they should be. My mods especially should be all the understanding. Now, so eventually one single cell organism was swallowed by a larger organism, and instead of them digesting each other, or the smaller one getting digested by this larger single cell organism, that smaller one gave benefits to that larger one and didn't get absorbed in the same way, and that was developed as the first symbiotic relationship, the very first multicellular organism. That multicellular organism grew and grew and grew and gained more and more. Shinjekti and contributed. Possibly. That's possible. That's possible, Mr. Blankface. That might be possible. That a sort of virus. Maybe the viruses were some of the first things that were made, because they're pretty small, but they're still highly complex. I'm pretty sure that viruses are still highly complex, so that would be like after proteins are made, which would be far beyond what we're talking about here. Proteins are many cells, many, or not many cells, but many. Yeah, like proteins and all of those other kinds of building blocks came after. I don't know. Actually, I really don't know. Okay, so what I know at this point is when I literally just learned this piece of information specifically earlier today, like for the first time, because I am constantly learning stuff. And so every piece I'm always absorbing information. And so SciShow earlier today had a video about how about the very first animal, and we don't know what the first animal is. There is a current it's currently can be one of two things. It can either be a comb jellyfish or a sponge that is our ancestor, but there are problems with both sides of this argument. So what we do know is that eventually those organisms eventually created coalesced into a larger creature, and that larger creature being That larger creature being either a sponge or what we call a comb jellyfish. Now, the thing about the sponge is that if we all did develop from sponges, then we would have had to develop things we would have to develop things that we would have had to develop things that would have been developed twice, like a nervous man. I'm forgetting the video now all of a sudden. Why am I forgetting that video? There was two things that we weren't developing. The nervous system of the comb jellyfish, though, is why the scientists in general believe that, or hey, what's up, Flinty Burrito and Codeman? Welcome. Roxy can't eat right now. It's probably better if she doesn't eat too much right now. Sweetheart, speaking of, you should be eating, like, I don't know, bread? Do you have any bread? You definitely don't eat any of that pizza. So when they developed these, the first animals that they believe were developed were either sponges or comb jellyfish. Now, the problem is if comb jellyfish... Oh, thank you for that breather. Eat bread? Sweetheart. If you're stuck, you know, I'm not sure which one I want to do for what I want to say for that, babe. I want you to be okay, but I'm not sure of the best method because I've never had food, and I need to do more research for that so I can help you out a little bit. So what I do know is you should be drinking water. That's something you should be doing. You might not be able to eat anything, but you definitely should be drinking water. So when we're going into the idea, you're funny. It develops different things. Read throughout evolution and history. Animals involved that regain the abilities out of survival of certain circumstances. Mr. Blankface, you're absolutely right. You're talking about the development of natural selection. Okay, so when we're talking about the evolution, different traits are evolved from those first single-celled organisms. They reproduced, and then there were slight differences in their genome over and over and over, and until the slight differences in their genome over and over and over until they eventually got the ability to swallow one. That developed eventually into creating a multicellular organism of like a sponge or a comb jellyfish. So if the comb jellyfish came first, then the sponges would have had to lose their nervous system, and if the sponges came first, then there are other problems. Like the sponge has 40,000. One species of sponge has 40,000 genes. Now, in my mind, 40,000 genes, compared to our like 15,000, means that there's a lot of excess genetic code that could have developed into lots of different things, including a nervous system and all this. So the only problem is that we only have knowledge of sponges because they create hard surfaces easily fossilized, where the comb jellyfish don't. So we don't have that amount of space talking about the comb jellyfish. We don't have proof of it one way or the other. It's a current chicken or the egg scenario, but it's like sponge or comb jellyfish. But in either case, whatever came first, that still led down the line to evolve, and those whatever it was, they evolved more and more, and just species they would separate. One would evolve from a different one, and another one would evolve from a different one. They just keep on evolving, and the idea comes that we all evolved from the same single-celled organism hundreds of millions of years ago. I don't even know how long, maybe further than that. We've been evolving for a long time. What's up, John Stafford? How are you doing? Dun, 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 dun. I hate pizza. Sweetheart, you're cute. Okay. Yeah, Brandy, you should definitely care about everybody. I don't know what Irving's being. I'm not sure what Irving's talking about. I haven't been reading much of their comments here, and because there's just a lot of them. Where are we going with where was I going with this? So the first animals evolved, and through a process Darwin called natural. You're fabulous. You're awesome, sir. So through the you have a hobby of studying biology, anatomy, a whole bunch of little things, so it's quite nice to be able to talk about this stuff. Nice, Mr. Blank. Nice, that's awesome, man. So when it comes to the nature of how evolution began, that would be described by Darwin as natural selection. Now, I would like to quickly point out a massive flaw with a social aspect of this whole thing. When it comes to there's a phrase called survival of the fittest, which people attribute to Darwin, and it is not Darwin who said that. It's not something Darwin said. It's very violent, and it was used in a way by a man named like Herbert Jacobson or something like that, where he used it as a way to say that white people were better than everybody else. So like, you definitely want to take that to knowledge that phrase was made out of hate for the wrong reasons. Darwin himself would have never used it. Natural selection is definitely the term to be using for that. So anywho, via natural selection is how evolution began, and how we got everything. It's believed that it's been pure. Hey, what's up, Miney69? How are you doing? So the I don't know if that was just a joke, babe, or what you mean by that with your picture, but okay. AI natural selection coming soon. No. See, if an AI, how are you doing, Mind69? Guys, Mind69, good friend of mine. You guys should check him out when he does all the content. How are you doing, Money? Was it Money, buddy? How are you doing, buddy? Welcome. Was a funny? Was just funny. So when natural selection took place and all these creatures started evolving, they were all aquatic animals, and they believe that eventually that aquatic animals started developing ways to get off of land. They started moving onto land to get food, and eventually just kept staying on land. And they and then with each the idea of natural selection is that when two species, when the same, when when it changes, when a species adapts new abilities, and it may become better adapted to that environment to deal with the surrounding the environment, but they also might equally be equal as good, but whichever one is the better one tends, or like more effectively suited to the environment, I should say, will eventually outcompete and have more babies over top of the other ones. So that will either suppress, or maybe they just go their separate routes. Like they could go their separate ways and their own separate routes, like tree of a root, because that kind of makes sense too. By being separated, like forcefully separated, like maybe this type of animal walked over onto onto a piece of land, then oceans rose, and then they were separated from the main group, and this has happened and causes gigantism or miniaturism. It's called oh man, I'm not going to say what it's called, because I'm not so the and this actually does happen, and indeed you can see it happen where things get big or small when their natural predators are essentially removed from the equation. I think it's icellar dwarfism, I want to say it is. I could be wrong on that. Rip Charger indeed. So when animals evolve, they continue to evolve and keep on evolving until they come to until eventually there's land dwellers, there's aquatic animals, there's a whole bunch of different styles. So when mammals evolved, that's where we come in. We are mammals. We evolved, or not humans, but our mammalian ancestors evolved alongside the dinosaurs, but they were tiny. They couldn't fight off all the dinosaurs and all of these big creatures. So until we see, when it comes to life, we see what is called the Cambrian explosion, where there was a huge diversification in life that came, and just so much life spread out during that time period. And then as millions of years pass, then dinosaurs are created. That's when mammals begin as well. And we evolved alongside the dinosaurs, or our ancestors did, until there was a cataclysm that wiped out the dinosaurs. There's several ideas on what happened. The most general accepted theory is that it was a meteor. There's also theories that bacterium within the ocean interacted and caused a massive amount of CO2 to fill the air. There have been several mass extinctions throughout the entire age of the planet, and they've been in different ways. The most common for at least the dinosaurs was a hit by a meteor on the surface of. And when that happened, mammals, who were small creatures, hidden caves to stay away from the dinosaurs and such, from all the bigger predators that would kill them, they would eventually go into the when the dinosaurs were mostly gone, that allowed for the mammals to be able to take all of the resources that the predators were no longer keeping away from them. So when they started developing, whereas many creatures develop certain ways of adapting to capture their prey and whatnot, what humans had to do is they had to use cooperation. The cooperation led them to eventually develop social skills that led them that led us to develop language and unity and working together, because that's the one thing that humans have always been able to do has made them stronger, is cooperation. Is without that cooperation, social skills would have never developed, would have never started. Gonna hit this by. You should. Extinctions event, one's too much oxygen, one without oxygen meteorites. Yep. Now, see, you're right there, Matt. Indeed. Remember, it was giant insects before dinosaurs. Exactly. And but in our personal natural selection, how it was developed was is through our social interactions with each other. Through these social interactions, we eventually developed better ways of communication, and through that communication, we eventually developed language. Now, when people became able to develop a sort of self-awareness, people are not sure, but it's likely back to prior to cave drawings, where people were Neanderthals and any Homo species that was prior understood that they were separate of themselves. A whole psychology. This is a whole psychology thing. Don't break it. Hey, what's up, Avery? How are you doing? So, and that's psychology and sociology and culture and the development of culture. Social interaction is culture. Language and culture are intertwined so deeply that you cannot have one without the other. And often religion is a heavy part of that too. You can't. Culture, religion, and language are so deeply intertwined with each other that it's very hard to see any of them separately of each other. But that's anthropology. And chilling out, what's this? Just all of the talks. Throw around the idea that extra gene being multiplied, causing our brains to grow inside. At one point in time, eventually humans. Did you give us the evolution advantage? No. I believe personally. I personally believe that hold on. What's going on? Okay, so I personally believe is that through natural selection and social interactions, we developed that, because we see the communication between other animals. We could just easily be the first species to be able to develop a language skills that are in the same way. So when we're talking about the human civilization starting is probably as soon as they drew the first painting on a cave wall. They first started saying, they first had words to describe or a series of clicks, maybe not words, but the understanding that there is a tool in their hand. And that hand is under their control separately of natural reaction. Because as every animal grows, and how we all develop and how we all understand the world around us is through the experiences we gain. Now, animals might not realize this, but it happens in the most basic of it happens down in the deep core of happens down in the deep core of people and just everything in animals, anything that thinks, or not thinks, but just exists. You see it in mice, and when they're researched on. Pavlov's dogs is a great way of seeing it. You can teach a dog. Pavlov taught dogs to drool at the thought of food, at the sound of a bell, which goes to which just there are so many things to explain how experiences shape who we are, and that becomes the site. Can, not can't for what? Mason. It's all the unknowing. Gain intelligence, gain the advantage. No, well, see, Mr. Blank, buddy, you know, the people that say that, I bet you also say that we only use 10% of our brain, which is silly, guys. We use all of our brain all the time. Like, duh. I mean, our frontal lobe, for example, is the planning portion of our brain. We have another portion of our brain that's for language. We have another portion of our brain that's for movement. We have another portion of our brain that's for involuntary movement. We have a portion of our brain for memory. Memory is like, you know, is pretty extraordinary stuff. Yeah. Do. Okay, so let me take a breather really quick, guys. Boom, 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 boom. So what we're You're good, sweetheart. You're good. Do. One sec, guys. Do. Let me take a breather. Bum, 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 bum. Do. One sec, guys. Oh wait. Do. Okay, so where were we, guys? Sorry. You're good, sweetheart. So the next thing, let me go ahead and take a Ooh. It stopped them from acting crazy, like scared. Do. What's that, babe? Bum bum ba-dum, dee na na na, dun 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 dun. Do do do. One sec, guys. Do 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 do. Okay, so guys, where were we, guys? I got all the distracted here. It's like all the entire thing with milligram experiments and obedience trading for what? For what? What subject? Sorry, guys, I got all the distracted here. You don't use 10%, use the whole thing. There are some of the parts we don't use, but that's way more. 10% of. Okay, so that's where I was talking about before, and then I got all distracted by a thingy here. So, yeah, the whole only using 10% of your brain, that's a myth. You definitely don't use all of your brain at the same exact time. That's definitely not something that happens. But you do use 100% of it. If you are using 100% of your brain at the same time, you're having a seizure. So you definitely don't want to be doing that. But that doesn't mean you don't use all your brain. And people think like, you know, you can gain some sort of like hidden talent or something if you unlock more of your brain. Not the case. So, when talking, wait guys, where are we at now? Talking about our brains being reprimanded. You're not being reprimanded, babe. Irving, you have been there, but that's really not something that you should probably be saying out loud here.
Okay, so where are we at now with this? So where are we at with this discussion at this point? So we are here with the development of our brains, how we experience things. No, how we develop experience, how we experience life and everything about it. Probably something we should leave for the next one is our experiences and how they react with how they interact with how we feel. Irving, you know, not right now, Irving. Not right now, Irving. Not right now. Okay, so where were we at here? We were okay, so the thought of brain. Okay, so is there any last topics? I timed Irving out. Irving's breaking the rules. Irving, you are breaking rules. Many rules. Please stop. I have DM'd you a message if you would like to see it. Don't worry, I'm agreeing with you on the brain thing. And you're right. Yeah, definitely. Sorry. Brain potential and cognitive abilities. So, you're very sweet. All right. You should be sleeping those very soon. If you're, and are you still tired at all? So what's next, guys? What is the last thing we need to talk about? So let's talk. See what we covered today. We started with the Big Bang. We didn't talk about if there was anything prior to the Big Bang. We're just assuming that something happened. There maybe it all coalesced. Maybe it's an explosion of a different galaxy in a black hole or something. One way or the other, we know it came out. Yeah, Mason, it's silly. It's very silly about the brain and, cognitive abilities. I think we're going to leave the brain specifically off of the until the next one, because that has to do with social interactions. Like maybe the evolution of our brain we can talk about here. We'll finish out with the evolution of the brain. Okay, so but where are we at so far? We went from the Big Bang. We didn't start with anything prior. We went with how galaxies, the grouping of materials that the grouping of materials that causes stars to form. Then those stars explode and die and create again, and explode and die, creating bigger and heavier materials, or atoms. And then those atoms coalesce into planets. Those planets then have various sizes and then different orbits that all orbit around a supermassive black hole in the center. That and then on each planet allows, if there is liquid water, if that planet is in a Goldilocks zone or has enough internal heating to have a liquid water ocean, then it has the possibility in our current scientific book to actually mix amino acids and create life. And by life, we mean single-celled organisms that have evolved into be bits until one species swallowed another. Those two became the first multicellular organisms to get more and more cells to become a larger organism. That organism turned into a and we right before that we were talking about geology, how the earth works, and tectonic plates, the oceans, and such. Then back to the animals, that we come from either sponges or jellyfish, which is something I learned only just today. That's how much I learned stuff, guys. I only learned stuff about this very topic today. I mean, I guess it's a lot of topics. But then we talked about the evolution of animals and how natural selection plays a huge part in it. Now, the development of each animal is crucial in a lot of different ways. The development of our brains, I believe, was purely because of purely because of the social aspects that we were forced to develop as a species. We were forced to be more and more social, and the more social we got, the more cooperation we needed. So the ones that survived were the ones that were more cooperative, and the ones that died out are the people that didn't want to cooperate with the group. So the people that hated the group or didn't want to do that just died out, and then the group survived and then continued that over and over and over, and then until you get modern civilization. And those social aspects are what allows us to think about, I believe, allow us to think about ourselves in a larger scale of things, in a much, much larger scale of things. Our ability to think for ourselves, like, I think, therefore I am, and all of this knowledge all comes from our ability to be social with each other, with the knowledge. It's one of the greatest things, cooperation, is that it is why we even are a civilization, is through cooperation, teamwork, and power. That just goes to a whole other line of the beauty of teamwork and cooperation and having allies. You know, there's just so much great about having that. Experience was that animals and humans both have greed. Yes, indeed. It is indeed, Mason Newton, in lots of different ways, but it's just evolution. Now, animals don't feel the same way. Animals have developed different ways, evolved different ways of doing different things. There are several species of animal that have evolved ways to specifically steal from their prey. There is a species of spider that's, oh man, I can't remember the name of the spider, but the spider is, it doesn't even have the ability to spin its own webs anymore. But what it does is it sits there on the edge of a host spider web until the host spider's web catches a fly or a prey. And then after it's been wrapped up and left there, they use their really, really long legs to crawl across the web without moving it and notifying the spider and eating their meal right from underneath them. And it's a huge, huge thing. It's developed in many different ways of stealing. It's just this fight for survival, this natural selection. Whichever is a stronger species does indeed survive. And for when it comes to direct confrontation, indeed. But nature has developed a lot of awesome defensive capabilities as well as offensive capabilities in many different ways. There's a shrimp that can punch so fast it creates an air bubble that snaps and that creates a flash of light underwater. That's a fast freaking punch. It is like, it's crazy. It's crazy awesome. Animals have developed bioluminescence. Lobsters have no end of their lifespan. As far as we know, lobsters can live forever. They're on the bottom of the sea. They estimate there could be a 4-foot lobster in the bottom of the ocean somewhere, you know, because they never die. They don't have a lifespan that we can recognize. We just know that they can get hundreds of years old. There's a jellyfish that there's a jellyfish that when it gets old, it goes into a stage, back into a larval like stage, and reborns and makes itself reborn, therefore making it immortal, just because biology. Evolution has done some pretty great things for a lot of different species, and it's developed in a lot of different ways. How humans have developed is purely the power of our brains, the power to understand the world around us, to experience the world and look at it through different ways, make it better if we so wish, and if we have the drive to. But without cooperation, then we wouldn't be here today. And so cooperation is just all of the important. The betterment of everyone was important for at least the progression of humankind. But now we're in a point of civilization where it's not just the progression of mankind that we're looking for, or womankind, or humankind, I should say. It's for the progression of the betterment of everyone and everything on this planet, and even the planet itself. You got that from the other YouTube channel. Which one? Mr. Blankface. I get a lot of things from other YouTube channels, because I watch a lot of informational. I watch. Okay, so Vsauce was the original channel that actually got me interested in making a YouTube account. I wanted to subscribe to Vsauce so that I could know when Vsauce posted more content. So I just looked at trending stuff, but every single time I saw something by Vsauce, I watched it. And so I subscribed to Vsauce, and that was my start. The most thing I watch on here, guys, is I am watching educational stuff a majority of the time. I am watching something that is telling me something new, giving me new information that I didn't know. Hey, Vsauce here, exactly. Ending happen. Mason, that depends. That depends on how we deal with the situation. Our current political structure is kind of chaotic. So with the current leadership in effect, I do not believe any progress will be made towards the direction of changing climate change. I don't think it will at all, because people just don't believe it. People hear global warming. It's freezing outside. How could it be global warming? People that say global warming it's cold outside, so how could global warming exist, clearly do not understand the problem that is facing things. So like we have to change the perception of people. How do we change perception of people? People have tried to change the perception of people by changing that word to climate change instead of global warming. So that way it's less confusing to people. It doesn't matter to scientists if they say global warming. It's not about the syntax. They don't care about the syntax. The data is there whether or not you call it that. It doesn't matter what you could call it. You could call it purple dinosaur change. And that doesn't change the fact that the change is still there and it's still negatively affecting the planet. Indeed. So really the whole thing is what needs to happen is the ability to change and influence people on a massive scale. And this dives into a whole other topic that influencing massive number of people in many different ways. That is a whole other thing to deal with: sociology and psychology, ideals of perception, and how we how everybody takes information for themselves and understanding the world around them, and how they use those experiences to further make judgments in the future. That it really is very, very important to understand how people think. Social interactions with between different groups and different people will get extremely complicated. But all that stuff in psychology, I think, is best left for a news stream. So guys, I think we'll be going ahead and calling it around here. What's up, Gamer DJat? Welcome. So we are come back to the point, you just don't care. Some want to watch the world burn. Yeah, well, Mason Newton, see, that's the whole thing about evolution, is that the people that want to watch the world burn are also just so happen to be the same people that get lost in the evolutionary chain. So, you know, those people I was talking about, that go off and do their own thing and don't stick with the group, don't stay with what the core means. They want to do the own thing. They want to see the world burn, blah blah blah. They're gonna die off because, well, nobody's with them. I mean, there is obviously you can't have rule of law when you don't believe in law. You know, you can't, when you are an anarchist, you can't be in a group, because an ordered group is the exact opposite definition of anarchy. So if you want to watch the world burn, you're by yourself in that. And there might be lots of people each by themselves and wanting to watch the world burn. They're also against each other too. So like since they're against each other, then they don't stick with the group. They all die off. They don't influence anyone. In the future generations, they will be forgotten and just lost in evolutionary chain. How often do you hear about the evolutionary chains and the few that went off did their own thing in the evolution of anything? Very, very rarely. So guys, if you we're gonna now call it here. Man, oh man, what a fantastic stream. There's a lot of people out there like that. I don't belong to no group, but I don't want to watch the world burn, because you're amazing. Turn away from politics, dude. Mr. Blankface, buddy, you will likely see my name on a presidential ballot in 2025. Wait, what? 2024? Why did I say 2025? 2024. You might see my name on that presidential ballot. Indeed. I am highly political because somebody with the ambition and the ideals that are not to screw over somebody else, are not to make money out of it, is not there to harm or get something out of it. Somebody needs to get into the presidency, or that just needs to become a leader for this world. A leader that is going to do things for the betterment of the world, not the betterment of themselves, not the betterment of just one country, not the betterment of even a group of countries, literally the betterment of every country, even the ones that hate us, even the ones that hate you. You want to make their lives better too. You want to make everybody better. And if there is a way to do it, unite the world. That's what I want to do. I want to unite the world in even the smallest way, even if it is just a treaty. If it's just a treaty saying that nobody will attack each other, everybody in the world signed it, I would be happy, because then it can start a greater unity for everyone. So guys, with that, let us now go and take our happy all over. And if you guys didn't get enough of this kind of talk stream, you can check us out on next week sometime. The Bitter Truth. So, when money makes the world go round, indeed. So, guys, if you guys did not get enough of the talk streamage, you guys should definitely check out next week, where we will continue all of the talk streamage, and we'll probably start diving into psychology and the development of human ideals, and how they, interact with each other. We'll talk about the psychology, culture, psychology, religion, language. Very, very important, very different all over the world. And all cultures bring something that is important to understand. Some of them are really, really hard. Some information is really, really hard from a cultural standpoint that other cultures, but you have to accept them in the sense that they are okay in another culture to do. That is not okay in your own. And for good reason. And and then the idea that you can interfere, but that doesn't mean you should interfere, because that might change the entire process of everything. Sometimes it's not as cut and dry as you always think. Takes good questions to improve even the greatest leaders. Indeed, Mason. Indeed, Mason. In flippin' deed. Never ever stop questioning things. That, my dear friend Mason, is the whole idea of critical thinking, which is a whole other stream I already did. Is that when you are a critical thinker, you have to understand, to question yourself. Am I being the best that I can be? Is there anything I can do for the betterment of somebody else? Change myself? Am I thinking of something in the wrong way? And if so, can I change that about how I think about that? Can I change myself to make somebody else better in themselves? And that is what critical thinking is about. And that is something that I hold very, very dear. And is something I will never stop doing. Critical thinking is very important. And I will always suggest it to anybody who has the capacity to do it. It's very hard to look at yourself and say and see things that you yourself are doing that you can change. And accepting that you do these things. It took me a while to actually accept things that I do are not good, but I change them. You misunderstand, Mr. Blank. You misunderstand my kindness. What's up, Levi? How are you doing? You mistake my critical thinking for kindness. No. Kindness is not a feeling that I feel I need to do for my own gain. Kindness, there is a saying, you can get more bees with honey than, what is it? You get more flies with there's a saying, I don't even remember what the saying is. But in any case, kindness is you get more flies with sugar than vinegar, right? Something like that. I think that's, you get more bees with honey than vinegar, something like that. So the idea is that just because you're kind doesn't mean you're kind-hearted. I don't think I'm very kind. I can be a downright dick. And I have been. I can be a fucking asshole sometimes. I really can, if I want to be. It doesn't really affect me in the same way. The thing is that just kindness begets kindness. If you are kind to somebody, they will be kind to someone. And that is just a better outcome for any situation. Any critical thinker, a true critical thinker, is going to be kind to everybody they meet just because it will provide a better outcome in all scenarios. Being negative in any scenario, it will never provide you a decent solution. And it will just make things worse. So critically thinking, you be kind to avoid the degradation of the discussion. Just because one person is kind does not make them a weak person. What's up, DJ Plays? How are you doing? Yeah, exactly. But my point is, my whole point is that kindness is some people do kindness and make other people happy for their own benefit. But really, it's in my mind, it's not about. I mean, I certainly get pleasure by pleasing other people, specific people in general. Generally, personally, when it comes to me, I get ultimate pleasure out of pleasing my partner, whoever that one person is. I get ultimate satisfaction out of making sure that they're happy. I do that. That is my personal thing. So like when it comes to in general being kind to just everybody, I do that not because I get a personal satisfaction from it. I mean, I like being kind to people because they're happy, and I get personal satisfaction in the sense that they're happier because they spent time around me. But in general, I think it is better for them, better for me, better for the world if they experience a positive kindness attitude from me. Something that I can change about myself. And I don't always have a positive attitude because I'm just not, doing it, because I'm not thinking critically at that time. Generally, if I'm not in a positive attitude, then I'm not necessarily in a critical thinking mode at that time, which I should always be. Yep, Queen Roxy. You don't believe in fake kindness. No. You misunderstand. It's not fake. It's not fake. I'm not faking my kindness at all. It's not fake at all. It's kindness just begets kindness. So whenever I have any extra money, honestly, if I have any extra money that I can just spend on whatever, and I'm getting a coffee at a coffee shop, I will purchase the coffee of the person behind me. That person behind me will then get a free coffee and have no idea who did it. That's anonymous kindness, random act of kindness. And I have witnessed, or not witnessed, I've been told that by witnesses of it, like when I go back there, that train of purchasing the person drinks behind them has on several occasions lasted several times, like 4 or 5 cars, until one person doesn't buy the drink of the person behind them. They just accept the free drink. So it goes to show that kindness can beget kindness, and it doesn't need you. Each person can feel good about it, but there has to be one person that you know, has to be willing to start that, and either take somebody that wants to see better positive motivation in the world, or it has to take somebody else that is more personally invested to just see, just because they want to feel good about themselves, which is fine. It's a thing, and they're still being nice because of that. In my mind, I do it almost every time I have money, because I know that if you spread that positivity, it'll people will be happier. Alpine, I saw Alpine in here. Where's Alpine? There. Where is Alpine? I missed Alpine. There's Alpine. Hey Alpine, how are you doing? From the bot up, they want to... Yeah, well, there's different ways to get it. Get more bees. Ah, see, Mr. Blank? Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Get more bees with honey than vinegar. Exactly. And the whole point is that critical thinking, and when you think critically, you end up being kind more often, because it's a better outcome. You're thinking about the situation critically and what is going to make the best outcome, but be kind. Now, when people are mean, we'll talk about more about this, but people shut you down. When you're being negative to somebody, people shut you out. They don't listen to you anymore. You're being negative to them. They'll block you out. They won't listen to a word you say, and you won't be able to get through them. Nothing you say or do, just because they won't want to hear what you have to say. They won't care. It's because they're just too heated by the moment. And a critical thinker, ideally everybody would be critical thinkers, and they wouldn't get heated by any sort of discussion about anything. They would be able to remain calm and present in the moment to discuss whatever topic it is. But people aren't perfect. Nobody's perfect. Nobody is. So like a lot of people, and most people don't think critically. You have to realize that their emotions and experiences are going to drive their reaction. Ooh, da na 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 no. Oh, how are you doing there, Alpine? It's me being positive, right? So, kindness is important, guys. Critical thinking is important. How we came to be is important. And next week, we will talk about the about human interactions, human people talking amongst, everybody human, all of us humans, freaking talking. Like how we began and how we socialize, and we'll talk about culture and psychology, and psychology of culture, and then we'll just dive further and further down into the ideas of people. And then when we get through with that, we can go through maybe the future of humanity and philosophy of the what ifs, what can be's. I can talk for years about so many different kinds of topics, guys. It's kind of pretty awesome. You guys we're willing to sit here and hear me rant about everything for 2 hours now. I have other sources of income. Frozen pipes, big mess. Oh man, I forgot about that, Alpine. I totally forgot about the frozen pipes. How's that going, Alpine? Obviously it's a big mess. Well, I asked how you were, Alpine, but I didn't see a comment on it. I see hi, and yeah, that's all I see. I see hi, Alpine. I did ask how you were. That's really shitty, Alpine. Man, what can you do to heat up some? So wait, so frozen pipes. The problem is like, what could you do to heat them up. So where are the positions of the pipes, Alpine? I don't know. I'm not a. It started on Monday. Man, I'm trying to think of how you could even deal with the situation. Mason, sometimes that happens. You got it, no prob. Alpine, you're clearly upset right now. I wish I'm still trying to think of how I can even. Hold on, I'm gonna look this up for you. Fine. How to. Use a space heater, heat lamp, or hair dryer to thaw the frozen length of pipe. Wrapping freezing pipes with thermostatically controlled heat tape. Oh man, let's see, that sounds expensive. From $50 to $200 depending on length is an effective way to thaw a trouble spot. Don't thaw pipes using a propane torch, which presents fire risk. We pour hot water. The space or any heating mechanism can generally do the trick if you don't have any of those things. You can simply pour salt water down the drain to thaw your frozen pipes. Once you're finished, toss your hot and salty water down the drain to help thaw those pipes. So, salt water down the pipes, it says. Well, this is what Google says by just an immediate search for it. What's with all these ellipses, guys? Just sore? I'm sorry, Alpine. What is that, Levi? What are you posting links to? Hair dryer and space heater. Yeah, I was just trying to help. Ask me first. I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna help. This is just I don't know if it'll help. I've never had frozen pipes, but I mean I would like to help you if I can. All I did was I looked at how to deal with frozen pipes, and then down here on Google it says, can you pour hot water on frozen pipes? And then the answer is what I read there. It says you can simply pour salt water down the drain to it makes sense because salt will melt it, but like I'm not sure. Like if Google is right on this, I'll totally take it. Here we got another one here. Tips for the thawing. Open the faucet. Oh yeah, leave the faucet open, dripping. So then that way it doesn't freeze is what the one tips to thaw a frozen pipe. Hot towels, portable space heater, heat lamp. This doesn't even say anything about salt, but I mean salt kind of makes sense. Electrical heating tape, infrared lamp, cutting out a section of the wall. Are you serious? That's not, no. It worked. Wait, salt down the drain worked? It's a video on how to thaw out frozen pipes. Oh, it did work, Alpine? Really? Already? Nice. I mean, nice. I have no idea. I've never done it. Just trying to help you out, Alpine. I am sure it would. All that worked in combination. Well, I just. Are you serious? No, that's what it's. I just read something on there was talking about cutting out a section of wall. I didn't even read past that. It's like, no, I'm not gonna remove sections of my wall to get to the pipe. There's got to be a better way. Started Monday and broke today. Well, nice. That's GG. So now you have your water back, Alpine? You laugh so hard about it though. I know, right? Why would you do that? Well, I'm not even thinking about cutting a hole out of my fucking wall. Like, holy crap, holy. Hearts. Yeah, I actually was not necessarily done streaming tonight, guys. I did want to play, there's multiple chats going on in chat. Kind of, Beb. I don't think you can cut a hole in the wall. Irving, have you been being toxic here? Like, I see you keep on talking, you keep on saying small violin when people are being very... I will put you in timeout again, Irving. Like, Alpine was being serious. That's your positivity is trying to make jokes out of serious situations. It doesn't help. It's been going on for like, I constantly am seeing your comments, Irving, on the smallest violin and stuff. I haven't seen her say anything. Blood cleanup? Okay. Well, I hope everything is good. Irving, I only see your comments here. And I have all the reason to believe you could be being negative. So please stop. Okay, so guys, how would you guys like to now go do a McRaid? Okay, so guys, how would you guys like to help do a raid? And if I do, guys, I did kind of want to continue streaming, but if I do stream more, it would be over on Twitch or some... You didn't notice a thing? No worries, Alpine. I'm just happy that your pipes are back to normal. I remember you saying it, but then honestly, Alpine, I'm a terrible person for having forgot, but I did forget that your pipes were frozen, and that's very bad of me. But I hope that now that everything is all fixed, and I hope everything is gonna remain all the good for you. Indeed. Brandy, try what happened for Alpine. She said she used, hair dryer and the salt water down the drain. The salt, that's what they throw down, that's what they throw on streets, Brandy. They salt the roads because salt will melt ice. Yeah, Irving, you don't have to post Roxy's link every couple of minutes either. It's really not necessary. Or every couple of seconds, it seems like you're posting. You guys should go check out Miss Roxy, though. You guys should indeed. Irving, wait to post links. Could you not post links unless I shout somebody out? I mean, you guys should go check out Miss Roxy. She'll be making content here soon, but you don't need to spam it there, Irving. Because I'm having a lot of hard times reading chat with all the spam you're putting in, Irving. Please stop. Let her, Irving. Let her. Letter Irving. Why does that matter? A lot of people put eyes in the chat. A lot of people put eyes in the chat. Okay, guys, so let's now go do a McRaid. Being Who would like to do? You need an emoji link from Zelda. Spamming links. Well, you know, there's. I have a video on my second channel that talks about how sometimes there's levels of being too kind, where you are actually causing harm by trying to be too kind to people. You are actually causing detriment when you are trying to be too positive. You can be too positive. You can be too negative. It's much easier to get on the too negative side than it is on the too positive side of things. But being too kind can also make detriment. It also makes you think the wrong things. You have to have an even head about things. Hey, what's up, Lucas? How are you doing? It was funny, haha. For what? What was funny? Then spamming links. Ha ha ha! I see what you're talking about now. Do we have a linked one? But nonetheless, guys, I actually did make one. And that video stemmed from when I was driving, and I came up a four-way stop sign, right? And then everybody at the stop sign, I got there last out of all four of them. If I was there first, I would have been more than happy to take my lead. But since I got there last, I was literally not the one that could go first. So we stopped there, and everybody else tried to let everybody else go. And we just sat there for like 10 seconds, and nobody did anything. And then one person would start, the other one would stop, and then they'd stop, and then the other person would go. If they just didn't try to be nice there, if they just followed the rules of the road, first come, first serve, just understand that the rules of the road are the rules of the road, that would not have happened. That was detriment. That was detriment because of too much positivity, too much kindness. It can happen. It can happen, and it can be a detriment. You have to understand when there's too much kindness and when there's too much negativity. Gate 4 is on countdown. It is. Is it? No. How far? 66 hours. What time is that going to be at, guys? When is 66 hours going to be? It's my superhero. My superhero costume, guys. I have to... Oh! What is this gate thing? This gate thing is the game theory ARG that we do. Totally Sunday. 66 hours from now, the ARG map Pat made. Yeah, this is Creator Inc. right here. This is the Creator Inc. shirt they sent me right here. So I'm still freaking honored AF by the way that they even sent me this. This is freaking absolutely amazing. I am so honored by them. But yeah, you thanks for let us know, YouTuber randoms. Yeah, we'll be dealing with that. And guys, by the way, remember this gate. Remember guys, that this gate here, right here, Number 4 you can't have teamwork. It's all about like self-timed and all that. So I wonder how that's gonna work out as a stream, because I'm not gonna be sitting there doing. I mean, I'm gonna have mine done later, so it might be that a lot of people might need to use these streams as a way to get through it if they need to do it themselves, if they need to do everything themselves. They literally need to watch the video themselves. So then that 150 views on that video was not 150. It was the actual 750. Can't stop laughing over here. Matt Padlock burned out of the content he makes. Teamwork won't be helpful this time. Yes, indeed. Okay, guys. But we'll deal with this later. If you guys are interested in ARG material, I am doing the Omega ARG too, which is these people's ARG right here. In here, these people on the top right here, all these people here at the top, all these people created their own ARG, and I'm playing their ARG right now and making it into videos, and it's already gonna be pretty funny. The first one is gonna be alert. You have, babe? I'm glad. Yeah, the hoodie they sent was definitely it was quite the gift. Thank you so much again, so much for creating for doing. I have never been recognized by a company or anything like that. Or I hope it's Matt Pat himself, but I doubt I'm that lucky. Anywho, guys, we are now gonna go and do a raid. And guys, if you want to see the ARG, we're gonna be doing this the moment it comes out. Can we determine what it is? 66 hours from now. So 48 hours, then 48, 72. So 72 minus another 6 hours. So 72 hours from now, and then 6 hours ago. So 4 hours. So at 4 p.m., 4:40ish p.m., 3 days from now, 2 days from now, 7, 8. So 48. So Saturday at 4 p.m. Rap review. Oh, you want me to do that too? Right. You created your own and the endless train of ARGs. Sunday early morning. Thank you, Philip. No, it's not early morning. Are you sure, Philip? All right, so you're going to be streaming until then? Yes, Pokin. We're starting right now for the next 70-hour stream. Woo! No, we're not doing that. Okay, so we're going to now go do a raid, guys. If you guys don't know what a raid is, that means we're going to go into dun, 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 dun. Yeah, please, Irving. Please, with the stop mocking Roxy. I'm gonna do this once more time. There, Irving. Please stop mocking people. You got a subscriber? Nice, man. Nice. That's magic. Okay, so guys, Irving, you know, if you keep pressuring this, you will be demodded. I'm serious about that. You are not above that. You have been warned. Don't start. See, guys, you see, Irving is on right now a state of such positivity and belief in positivity that they harm themselves and people around them. They are harming people around them because of their positivity. And it keeps on happening. And I keep on telling Irving to calm it down. Irving is not listening to me. They don't see things right because of their positivity, which is great for a mod. but it is not great for is not great in the long term for people. YouTube, another sub. You guys are very sweet. Yes, guys. YouTuber did create an art, guys. He didn't get very many people playing it. So you know, if you guys want to play his ARG that he made, go and check him out. I didn't get a chance to play it, and I honestly won't get a chance to play it because I'm doing the Omega ARG, and I want to make sure that I'm putting a lot of work into that, guys. I have something I'm doing very funny for that. Okay, guys, so but now let us go and do a fantastic raid. Your stream keeps getting behind. No, Brandy. Okay, guys, so we are now gonna go and do a McRaid-a-bade. I don't even know what I'm like. What? Hold on. What is up with my sounds, though? No, that's not right. Why are my sounds all off? You did, it's okay, though? Okay, so I don't know why my raid sounds are broken. Go ahead and turn off the stream music. Thank you guys so much for joining today. What a freaking stream, guys. I love these conversation streams. I actually can't wait for the next one, which will be all about like psychology, like how people experience things and begin to take on their lives, and how people live their lives and what that means in a greater sense, culturally speaking, and all the way down to the family, how each family might change. And my outro is not going. Well, it's going, but the audio is fun. Okay, here we go. There we go. I'm gonna go back and do this. There we go, and then we're gonna do raid target. Okay, so Hurt, you forgot. Props. Okay, so now let us go and do a McRaid raid. Over to... Well, Paper Mushrooms is probably over there already. Let's go do a raid to Joyful Death. Roxy, you'll probably like Joyful Death, actually.
Master, I don't think this plan...
Yeah, you're gonna like Joyful Death.
The proper way to respond to such inquiries is to
okay, let's go and do a raid over to Joyful
Death. This contest is challenging by design. The reward is unique. That reward must be earned by diligence and observation.
Head on over there, guys. Do a hashtag kink raid for me, and I would love to see you guys over there. I'm gonna shout out the first few people that are over there. And then, if you guys didn't get enough of all these streameries that we're doing, be sure to join us again in the future. Is it easier to read things out loud when we do this next week? There's Irving. There's.
I will kill you. Donation sound.
Thank you so much.
So, like I said, oh
there's
my God,
Mason Newton, Philip Ray,
oh
Hoken. Thank you so much.
The little kid accent.
Me Ray, you guys are so awesome.
King, dude, thank
Boax,
you so much.
Levi
Hey,
Ackerman. You guys are freaking all of the amazing.
Let me type.
Switch Gamer, man, you guys are such a great read. I heart you guys.
I will kill you.
Brandy Silvers, thank you so much. Okay, thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you so much for being here. Alpine, thank you. I will see you guys very soon.
Thank you so much for the raid, dude.
Until tomorrow, stay amazing.
I appreciate it.
And two,
okay, let me catch back up here. What's happening? BW.